Like any democratic country, checks and balances are necessary for good governance. Part of these checks and balances are provided by the advisory councils of state and their independent positions. Welcome to Inside Government, highlighting the Social Economic Council of St. Martin. The Social Economic Council is an institution that is part of the advisory system that is built around government and is based on its own organic law that establishes how the council is appointed. The SER's legal basis is laid down in Article 79 of the Constitution of St. Martin. The Social Economic Council is required to advise government on the socio-economic development of St. Martin and on laws that touch the social economic sector of government. The Council is an important organization that includes the interests of the social and economic fields and is therefore essential to the functioning of St. Martin. The Secretary General of the Social Economic Council is Mr. Gerard Richardson, who oversees the day-to-day management of the organization. In this interview, Richardson discusses the role of SER, its establishment, its objectives and responsibilities as an advisory body.
The Social Economic Council, SER, is an advisory body. In Dutch you say Sociaal-Economische Raad. We were established by law in December of 2010, but the board members were appointed in May of 2011. Well, one of the requirements since becoming country, as 10-10-10, a few institutions were required. You have the High Councils of State, and the SER as an advisory body was also a requirement for country St. Martin, so it was established as such. Well, our main objective is to advise government on social economic topics. That's our core work, task. Our objective is to promote economic growth and also improve the quality of life of the people of St. Martin.
Mr. Richardson spoke about SER's accomplishments since its inception and touched on the Council's plans for 2015.
Since our inception, we have successfully organized 2 conferences. The first one was in 2013. We organized a conference on corporate social responsibility. And last year, we did one on inclusive development. Besides that, we have also attained membership in the ACCIS. The ACCIS is an international councils for social economic councils in the world. It consists of about 70 members. We became members in 2013. 2012, and in 2013 we were allowed to join the board. We petitioned for membership on the board and we became members of the board. Our year plan for 2015 depends mainly on government, depending how many advices we get in. We also plan, if the budget would allow us, to organize another conference. We're also looking forward to giving more presentations. We have one scheduled with the Council of Ministers, have one scheduled for the Youth Parliament. So we're busy giving more information about the SER, letting it be known what we do and what we stand for.
Mr. Richardson, how does SER, seeing the sensitivity of the topics, publications, balance the political aspect?
Well, we carry out the advice. We try not to engage in any political discussions with the politicians. I mean, we have our job to do, that's just advising. But we cannot engage into the political sensitivity of certain topics, or else we wouldn't be able to carry out our job as well. So we try to stay away from that and just focus mainly on the requested task, which was an advice. Sometimes it sits well with certain politicians and sometimes not. So, yeah.
What is the legal basis of SER's operations?
The legal basis of our operation is it's anchored in the Constitution, Article 79 of the Constitution of St. Martin, of course. In there it states that there are certain councils, of which the Social Economic Council is one. We also have our national ordinance. We also have our national decrees, which govern the secretariat, the staff, the boards, and also the provisions, the financial provisions.
Let's touch a bit on the structure of SER.
Yes.
How is the makeup of SER actually?
The SER is a tripart organization, as you may know. We consist of 9 members, each have their substitute. The 3 members represent the employers and 3 members represent the employees. And we also have 3 independent members that are appointed by government.
What is the function of the board?
The board main function is to translate the advice request of government into an actual advice. So the board members give their opinions, their views on how they would like the advice to be formulated.
And SER's budget for 2015?
Our budget for 2015 stands at 1.2 million guilders. Hoping there weren't any revisions, so we would be happy with that, yes.
Are there any other funding options?
No, there are no funding options because we are an independent body from government. Our funding goes through the government system. We don't accept any donations or anything of that nature.
In the construction of the reports, how does these initial ideas be explored and become reports?
Well, we have ad hoc committees. We have an economic ad hoc committee. We have an economic labor committee. The board members make up these committees, various board members and staff members. And together with the board members, we have dialogue. We go over the pros and the cons. We do presentations. We draft reports for the board and go back and forth until a consensus is reached.
The SER is the main body offering solicited and unsolicited advice on social and economic issues to the government of St. Martin. Richardson further explains.
Well, in total, we have brought out 16 reports. From those 16, 5 were unsolicited. We have been given notice on most of the reports, but government sometimes takes a while before they formulate a standpoint. Of course, sometimes Parliament might also has a certain opinion on the matter. But we get feedback, yes.
So when you say unsolicited, what exactly do you mean? For example, government or Parliament really don't have to give an assignment to SER?
Well, unsolicited means that it would come from a board member, from the SER itself. It would initiate an advice on a topic, be it on the environment, be it on the economy, be it on education. So the SER also has it in its law that it can initiate advice, unsolicited advice.
How objective do the SER members have to be?
Well, we encourage all members to be politically independent, objective, because any matter that you touch on will cause for certain reactions within the community. So we encourage the members to be as open-minded as possible.
Opinions stated within the reports, where do they come from?
The opinions stated within the report usually come from the board members. They share their views, their opinions on the matter, or how the institution deals with the matter. For example, a union, when you have a labor issue, might have a stronger stance than another institution in the SER. So it all depends on the topic that is current and also the institution.
Mr. Richardson, the much talked about counterpart policy.
Yes.
The Social Economic Council in October of last year advised government on the counterpart policy. Can you elaborate on some of the points, recommendations that was put forward to government?
Well, there were various recommendations and points that the board members had concerns with. It was an issue with the labor market, an issue with the permits. I don't want to delve in too much because I know it's a very touchy subject, but we made some recommendations with regards to revising the counterpart policy. We felt that certain aspects of the counterpart policy were not properly in place and that they would need to be reviewed. We also stressed that the execution of the current labor policies is also very important to enhance the situation at hand. So in a nutshell, we brought out extensive advice, but I just want to make sure that I don't touch certain aspects to cause any rift. Because as Secretary General, I don't have a vote in the board. I only state the opinion as if requested by the board members.
Mr. Richardson, is there anything else that you could add pertaining to the Social Economic Council?
Well, it's very important to know that the Social Economic Council is there for everybody. We are trying to give advice that will enhance economic growth, improve the quality of life for the people of St. Martin. I know sometimes that it might seem a little, you might say, oh, what gives these persons the right? But these were the persons that were appointed by, the various institutions to represent and to engage in social dialogue. So it's very important that when these reports come out that, I would encourage everyone to go to our website, www.sersxm.org, SER, and try to download our advices free of charge and get yourself more acquainted with the work that we do.
Mrs. Oldine Bryson Pantophlet is the Chairlady of the Social Economic Council SER as of May 2014. Oldine Bryson Pantophlet is the first woman to serve as chair of the SER on St. Martin as well as throughout the Dutch Caribbean. Inside Government spoke with the Chairlady about the functioning and structure of the board.
The role of the Social Economic Council is to give government advice, solicited and unsolicited, meaning that they can ask our advice or we can on our own advise them. There are three sectors in the SER board. We have the representation of the union, representation of, so that's the employees, representation of the employers, and independent members. And each member is assigned to 3 years. After the 3 years, we have a new election, and they can be reappointed or they can resign.
And how are the members chosen?
Each sector chooses their own member, and then it is sent on to the Prime Minister, and then if okay, then it's sent on to the Governor for the decree.
Chairlady Bryson Pantophlet explains the steps the Council have to take in advising government.
In our ordinance, it says that we can give unsolicited advice. So we are here, it's social and economic. So our task is to reach that balance through consensus within the board. Many times for a whole while, Social Economic Council focused more on economics. Economics is very important for our country, but it's also quality of life is also very important. Social aspect is also very important. We and the Social Economic Council, we keep tab on what is in the newspaper, what is going on in our society. And when we see, we hear talks, we hear people, a subject coming up all the time, be it via politicians or in social groups, and then we approach that and we tackle that, we bring it forward to the board, and the board decides, well, okay, together it's important enough for us to tackle that subject and give an unsolicited advice. How do we work? When we work in committees, and that is not always so, but in my tenure, I decided to work in committees. Each committee is headed by a member of the board and other members who are interested in the committee, in that subject, and there's also a staff member. And the committee will deal with it, bring in their expertise, and the staff member can also bring in expertise, does all the minute taking, and if we have to get information, they go for the information, and after they held their meeting separately to our board meeting, their findings are put forward to the board, and we keep on going until we reach a consensus. And then when it is finished, and it's an advice, unsolicited advice, we would send it on to the Prime Minister, to whom we are responsible. But you have to be smart when giving an unsolicited advice, because if everybody's talking about trees and you are going to talk about garbage, you know your trees are not going to reach anywhere. So you have to really tune in to see where is the focus now, and when can it make an impact? When will it make an impact? So we submitted to the Prime Minister. However, I'm of the opinion, as chairlady of the board, that we should present it, because we want to make sure that everybody reads it, that everybody understands it, that everybody can ask questions. And when they see what we are doing, and our information should be mostly local information. We don't want to present an advice where we get everything from abroad. We have to look for our own information. That's why we work very closely with the Bureau of Statistics, so that our information is really local. We are forging to get the Social Economic Council a more household name. We did not start as yet, but we are going to invite groups to talk with us. What are your problems? Now, Social Economic Council will not deal with a problem that you have and the others don't. It has to be a general problem. We have to know generally, all of you have this problem, what do you want? And if it is something that falls within our scope, social or economic, we will take it up as unsolicited advice. We cannot promise that we will take it up right away or that it will be solved, your problem will be solved, because SER is an advisory organization. So we can only advise. Our task is to make our advice so interesting and so strong that they will pay attention. Because making unsolicited advices and just being put on a shelf, that isn't the way we should go. But the onus is on us to really make it as interesting or showing the necessity to the government so that they can take it up.
As an advisory body of employers, employees, and independent experts, the SER aims to contribute to good governance, to greater prosperity in society, and to establish consensus on national and international social economic issues through a high level of expertise and board support. The Chairlady was asked about the objectivity of the advices government receives from SER.
They must be very objective. And the objectivity lies in the representation on the board. If you are an employee representative, you will be looking at the case via the eyes of an employee. If you are an employer, you're going to look through the eyes of an employer. And the independent look at the rest of the community. So you see, it isn't so that all the employers are stronger. No, everybody has the obligation to represent their backyard as good as they can.
The Social Economic Council aims to promote social harmony by creating a platform for social partners to discuss and reach agreement on socio-economic issues before they are turned into policy or law. Chairlady of the Council referred to SER as the People's Council, which ensures there is a social economic balance and quality of life.
Social Economic Council on St. Martin. I say we are the People's Council. We have to ensure that there's a social economic balance. We have to try via our advices to improve the quality of life. Because your economy could be as good as it is, we can work hard on it, it is very important. But if you don't have quality of life, all the money in the world cannot make you happy. Quality of life makes you happy. Money might make you happier, but it starts with feeling good. Feeling good, going to a place and being addressed in a good way, getting your documents in a right way, knowing that you have a social problem and it can be addressed. Social quality of life is the fiber of our life, and that is what Social Economic Council is all about. That's why we really want to reach out to the public, and they will get organizations will get invitations. Either we go to them or they come to us. And that they know what Social Economic Council is. It's not a dead council. We work for the people. We work for the community via government. And it's up to us as Social Economic Council board to ensure that we are taken seriously and that we are valued. That means we're not only going to sit back and wait for solicited advice. We're not only going to be writing unsolicited advices, but we're also going to be reading the newspaper and saying, hey, that came in the newspaper, but we were working on that too. Maybe we should contact the minister. And these things go behind the scene. It's not that we're going to we address the minister on this and this. No, that's not how we work.
The Social Economic Council held its second annual symposium in 2014 under the theme Inclusive Development for a Better St. Martin. The Honorable Owen Seymour Arthur, former Prime Minister of Barbados and present Member of Parliament, gave the keynote address. In his speech, Arthur connected the theme of inclusive development with our society based on the experiences of Barbados. The former Prime Minister said, "To build on inclusion, your society must make sure you match aspiration and opportunity."
I thank you for the honor of being associated in this very significant way with an occasion that is so meaningful in the transformation that is being made by St. Martin as a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And I venture to say at the very outset that the theme around which you have asked me to focus my remarks, inclusive development, could hardly be more appropriate. For in the broad span of human civilization, we live in relatively young nations. The mission of our generation, as pioneers in nation building, must therefore be to lay sound and unshakable foundations on which the endeavor of creating successful societies can be rested. I say to you that it must begin at the psychological level by our acceptance of the belief that we too have a right to development and that poverty and backwardness have not been ordained for us as a predetermined destiny. And there must be clarity of purpose about our mission. Our mission must be to build societies that can successfully provide for the material, social, and other needs of our people, progressively enhance the quality of their lives, and do so in a manner and by means that are in harmony with the environment and does not compromise the lot of future generations, and do all of this within the context of the pursuit of social justice. As very small states, we have so much to do and so very little to work with. Whenever I am in an aircraft about to land in Barbados, I can see the country virtually in one glance. I experience the same sensation that I feel when approaching St. Martin, that we do really live on what are in essence large rocks in the ocean. It is therefore really an act of faith to believe that coherent, cohesive, and successful development can be undertaken within such a physical environment. Indeed, because of the constraints imposed by that physical environment, small societies such as ours will always live a precarious material existence in which the opportunities for prosperity are few, but the scope for catastrophic failure is manifold. As such, crisis and the obligation to have to respond to continuous crisis are our usual and our familiar circumstance. We face an even more perplexing developmental paradox. For as relatively successful societies, we never require nor can we command the special coddling that the global powers typically devote to far better endowed but poorly managed societies. For even if we were to utterly fail, our demise will pose no threat to the stability of the global society as it would in the case of a Greece. In addition, aspects of our colonial conditioning have left us with the El Dorado factor which sometimes makes it difficult for our societies to pursue coherent, inclusive development. For our societies were first established by those in search of great and quick riches. The development path that our nations have chosen to follow, in some regards, still evoke the image of glamour, of glitter, and of excitement, the El Dorado image. This, in turn, tends to trigger expectations among some of our people that are consistently set too high and inevitably breed disappointment and social alienation when those expectations cannot be met. So as we seek to develop these small states, we have to carefully balance the perils of vulnerability, which are naturally imposed and precarious conditions that severely constrains our room for maneuver, against the enormous asset of resilience, which has imbued us with the capacity to be adaptive and in the process to rise even above the most severe crisis. We triumph when we make our resilience work to our advantage. Where St. Martin is concerned, it would do well to draw from the experience of other Caribbean countries, an experience which has proven that a new constitutional status does not in and of itself, nor by itself, lead to a higher level of sustainable growth and prosperity. Your nation, however, comes to this juncture in its development with much in its favor. It is already ranked as a relatively successful small economy, given its per capita income level and the strength and its sophistication of its main industry, tourism.